If you don't know, just get it. Yeah.
Hello everyone. Facebook Live has just started for the NLS8 Wrap-Up in Melbourne, in Victoria here. So, I'm probably too close and you can probably see my nostrils. Is that alright?
It's good.
It's good? Excellent. So we'll get started in just a couple minutes. And welcome. Hashtag NLS8.
If you get an interview, so it's been started every couple of months. It's very exciting. Just the NJ one, but that finishes at the end of the year. Yeah, because I'm just going to exactly what ALIAVic. We'll see how it goes. I don't know, I kind of chose something that's not like an in-out field. I'm a marketing expert. You guys don't know any better. I'm not like, at the other room, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm doing some other weird.
Welcome everyone to the NLS8 Wrap-Up here in Melbourne at the room, was it? Baguna Nyanjan. Can you say that now?
Baguna Nyanjan, which means gather everybody in the water on language.
Excellent, yeah. Get somebody to say it a lot better than me. Mexican language for me. First I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay respect to their elders, past and present. Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out here tonight. This was slightly not so great night, but it's been a better night in Melbourne than before. Now, just remember that we have the hashtag tonight, NLS8. So if you're tweeting, if you're Facebooking, if you're doing anything, remember to use that hashtag. Of course, the hashtag button is awesome. It's optional. Our first speaker for tonight is Mare Matichevsky, and she's going to be doing a presentation on the DIY video with your smartphone and her experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's start with her. Welcome.
Just put up just to hold that one as a holding slide, and we're actually going to go through the presentation. So I just want to talk about the experience of presenting at the NLS8, and I just wanted to talk about how I actually got to that process. So 2 years ago I went to NLS7. By the way, my name is Mare Matichevsky. I work here at this library. I'm the community programs librarian, and absolutely love this space, and I can't wait to show you around. So 2 years ago, whilst I was working at Darabin Libraries, I attended the NLS7, and it was actually quite a daunting experience because I was surrounded by so many people from the GLAM sector and so many people from all levels, from students right through to senior managers. And whilst I was there, because I love making videos and I do have a sort of filmmaking background and so forth, I was like, how am I going to actually overcome this social anxiety I'm feeling in this, highly energized network environment? I decided I was making a video. And so I actually interviewed a lot of the presenters at the time, and it was a great way of meeting a lot of people and actually engaging with a lot of people during the process. And it took away a level of feeling the need to kind of go up to people and meet people, because I was actually naturally doing it through my interviewing shared that video with all the people that participated, and it was a lot of fun. So this time round, I decided, hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a workshop, and I'm actually going to get people at NLS8 to create a video and then share that video and enjoy the same process that I went through when I did it as well. So that's what this was about. I developed the workshop, I presented the workshop, we had people making videos, and I actually made myself available twice to help people with post-production. Only one group managed to share their video in the end, which I was like, damn. But you know, it was great to see all the work that they actually did. And I also developed a resource kit, which is now up on Figshare, and Heidi's got a copy of it there. And the whole delivering a workshop in 2 hours wasn't really going to be able to achieve everything that I wanted it to achieve. I really needed a workshop delivered over 2 days, but I actually had to cut it short because so many people were presenting this year. But I was able to create that resource, and it's up on Figshare. It actually means if you go and get it, you can then go and make your own video too. And if you want to present, I highly recommend it because it's actually quite fun. So that's it for now. Pre-print. That's me.
Alright, our next speaker tonight, Stephen Chang and Shannon Parsons, and they're just about to get their presentation up. Shannon has been wonderful with the technology tonight, everything.
Yes.
So can we have an extra hand for Shannon? So when you're ready, just jump up. Do you like my really small nano pointer? My name's Shannon. This is Stephen. We were both committee members for NLS8, and we're really proud to be here. And can I just say, I'm so happy to see so many faces because, you know, we kind of came back down to earth and shit got real. I lost my job. You know, stuff happened, and then all of a sudden it's nearly 2 months since NLS8, and we've gone, we should do a wrap-up thing, shouldn't we? Yeah. So, as a committee, we're in the last stages of doing things. We're prepping the stuff so that whoever is going to be the NLS9 committee gets a heap of, hopefully, really useful data. So, I hope for those of you who actually attended the symposium that you've all gone and filled out your surveys. That feedback's like really important. That really makes a difference when it comes to the initial planning. That's actually one of the things that drove us to create as many workshops as we did. I know that they were short and things like that, but the feedback that we got when we attended NLS7 was more hands-on. So,
Technology.
Hey! Alright, so from humble beginnings. So a lot of us who were on the committee, if not all of us, were at NLS7, and you've already heard Mari talk about NLS7, and it was a fantastic event. It was my first ever library conference. I was just a new graduate, and I ended up speaking with Claire, lovely Claire, who's up there, who will be joining us later. And I took my teddy bear, and she took her librarian, Barry. If you don't know him, you should know him on social media.
Barry was in his video.
Barry is awesome, Barry the librarian. And we spoke about enthusiasm, because that's something we both share. And that led us to have people make a lot of pipe cleaner things, and also to then be part of this group that got together on, I think it was the final day? Or was it the second day? Yeah, final day of NLS7. And there were 25 of us. 25 people out of like 130 people went, yeah, stick my hand up and get involved in that. Now, we ended up with 9 because, let's face it, shit happens. Life happens. And not everyone can commit to such a long-term project because we did it for 2 years.
You know, and that's a long time. So, how do we do it? We spooked. We lunched. We met new people. We took advantage of our own networks. Because we pushed ALIA into accepting a committee that was not in one city. We were in Melbourne, Sydney, Gosford, Brisbane. So we were all up and down the East Coast. And I feel that that was quite advantageous for us because that meant that we weren't talking to the same people. We had a bigger network. And we also tried to expand on that network. So, we sucked up. Not kidding. I met him at Bala and went, oh my God, you're amazing. Can you come and speak at our conference? And he said, sure. And I'm like, shit. Because then we talked about it. We were like, oh, well, maybe he would Skype in. And I said, oh, would you Skype in? Yeah, happy to do that. How much do you want? Oh, I'll do it for nothing. So it shows you, all you got to do is ask. And I mean, let's face it, someone like our David Lakey's, we're his bread and butter. You know, new librarians, because he's trying to change the world. So he's trying to preach to people like us. As you can see, we use new tools. So this is what Google Hangouts looks like on your phone. If you've never used it, you see all the little faces down the bottom. When someone speaks, it pops them up here. And that was my office, because at the time I was a smoker, and it was nice and warm outside, so I just took my whole computer outside. So that's what we did. We did whatever we could, whenever we could. We used a whole lot of new tools that ALIA had never used before. So our first meeting was a conference call. Has anyone ever done a conference call? How much fun is it? When you've got no idea who you're talking to or if they're even there. And we didn't like that. So thankfully, on the committee there were a lot of people who were across a lot of different tools. And we were able to work with the fantastic events team at ALIA and coax them into actually letting us make use of them. And if you want to see more, on our website, because Sally and Amy spoke at ALIA Online, they did fantastic infographics, just to give you a bit more idea of how we use the tools and what we use. So feel free to jump on and have a look. Now, we also use some things that we all use daily, but of course, none of us have probably ever really used it to that extent. We had Liz, good old Liz, she loves a cake. Thank you, Liz, for making fun of herself. Who made this wonderful marketing plan centered around social media. Now we have got, I don't know how many we've got, followers on Twitter, followers on Instagram, and we, as you will know if you have followed the ALIA NLS8 Twitter, we stand the crap out of you. And it seems silly, and we actually had a lot of issues sort of going, are we doing the wrong thing by spamming people? But the fact of the matter is, as you know as Twitter users, it moves so quickly that you're probably only seeing 1 out of 10 tweets that someone posts if they're posting as much as we were. So we kind of got over it, and it also saw us increase our network. It also gave us some light relief. Being in different places was difficult because we didn't get to see each other face to face. We did silly things. Yeah, that's actually me. I was running late to my Christmas party. And that's my cat, Oslib cat. One of the great things was as ALIA NLS8 getting involved with some of the other ALIA stuff. So getting involved with Oslib chat and being able to support more of what was going on. And fantastic when Eileen came on board and did the same for us as well. So, in a nutshell, these are the main points. How did we do it? Well, we came in with solid ideas. I joined the committee and I wanted our David Lakey's and I wanted it to be in Canberra. Why? Because I see Canberra as our mecca. You know, we should all visit the National Library once. I've been to Canberra like 5 times, never been to the library. So I went, well, that makes sense. And then we contacted them, and notes, all the program and that sort of thing, we actually had to go through the expression of interest process. And that alone took us about 3 or 4 months where we all went, right, where do we want to have it? Hobart, Perth, Alice Springs. You know, we talked about all the different places and then we made lists. You know, a few of us took on a couple of different places, like I was either Canberra or Melbourne. And so we went through and we went, okay, these are possible locations and so on and so forth. And then we basically had a big round table where we were, right, give us your argument. We had to pitch it to each other. And that's really difficult because even though I'm standing up here talking to you like this, I talk under Westman, I'm an introvert. So if someone challenges me, I can get quite, oh. So that was really challenging for me to do that sort of thing. And I think that as a committee, we ended up with something pretty good. I've already talked about networks. This one, if you've ever run a class, you can share a meeting. If you've ever written an incident report, you can write a funding application. You know, all of these skills that we do in our daily lives, whether it's for libraries or not, helped us with this. You know, people that had never run an event before alone, but had been part of a team, discovered that they actually had the intuition from that experience to be able to take charge. Communication. That was a really big one and probably one that leads directly into the next one. Because like I said, we started with 25, ended up with 9. Shit happens, life happens. And there were times when those of us even who stuck around on the committee would go to ground. You know, you having a bad time at work, something's happened in your personal life. The big important thing is that that happens. And it can be really scary when you're in a committee that you've never met to say, hey, I've got some issues, I need to not be involved for a month. I'm really sorry, I was in the middle of doing such and such, but I can't do it for now. And that's why communication is really important. And in addition to that, part of being on a committee is that many hands make light work. So as soon as someone said that, everyone would go, oh, you poor thing, sure, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. And then the person can go away and have that month or have that 2 months or have that 6 weeks and come back feeling fresh and not stressed. We lost a few people because they felt like they couldn't do that. So just remember that. Now, ALIA, like, we'd never done anything this big before. So the ALIA events team had obviously all that sort of structure that they presented with us. They answered all our stupid questions. Can we do this? Can we do that? What happens if we do this? How does GST work? You know, all that sort of stuff. So ALIA were fantastic. And then, of course, you've got the fact that all the ALIA smaller committees, ALIA Victoria, ALIA NGAT, ALIA...
Snook or snag?
Yes. You know, everyone got behind it. We had people that were not even anywhere near new librarian status who were going, this is awesome. You know, managers in libraries and stuff like that got behind it. We're all volunteers. We didn't get paid. So, us as volunteers, and then what really was key is we had a fantastic team of volunteers for the event. Now, there was 9 of us. There was, what, over 200 delegates. Yeah, we wouldn't have coped. So, volunteers are really important, and it's really one of those things that you can do. If you go, I really want to go, and A, I can't afford it. B, I can't commit to being on the committee. And C, I've never done it before. You know, so volunteering in that capacity is really good. And of course, these silly things. We, on Slack, seriously, I think we've maxed out Giphy, and we've got through all the good ones, and now we're getting the really random ugly ones. We use GIFs, we use memes, reposts, hashtags, emojis. They really took something that could have been really stressful and what is typically, like, you think about being on a committee and you go, you know, you just get that chest caves in going, meetings. we offset that with fun. We worked really hard to do that. And then the committee. So we had 2 co-conveners. Without them, NLS8 wouldn't have happened, because they were our mums. They were the ones that could kick us up the arse if we weren't doing things quick enough, and they were also the ones that stepped in if we needed that extra bit of help. So their job was, I think of them like the puppet masters of the whole thing. They had to keep everything balanced on that one pivot point. So being part of the committee, that's part of your role. The bigger the committee, obviously the easier it is. So if you're thinking about getting involved but you don't want to be one of only 9, stick your hand up to go, hey, I can't be on a committee member, but I can be a sub-committee member. You know, you never know if that sort of thing would be helpful. So, we got there. We couldn't believe it. We were all on the Monday. We were like, it's this week. It's this week. It's this week. We were freaking out. But we got there. And because of the amount of what we generated, ALIA chose to do their photo that same week. Now, they could have done that any other week of the year, but I think that because they knew we were all coming to town and because we've got so much success that so many of you guys came along, that they wanted to commemorate it, and we're pretty stoked about that. There she is. I don't like the architecture, but you know, it's cool. So RMIT were one of our sponsors. We had great swag. One of the things that I will tell you is it comes together at the last minute. So, this is probably the biggest takeaway. For those of you who were there, yes, we all know what happened. And that was a trade-off, so I'll tell you why it happened. So because we were at the National Library, under contract we had to use their caterer. And their caterer was ridiculously expensive. Lovely food, if you could get it. So it was a compromise we made, and it's also something that, though it was dissatisfactory for people that came this year, it's something we can really push to the committee for next time, how better to do breaks and how better to do catering. So, this is another thing, because I'm about to hand over to Stephen, that he's driven. Those of you who presented know that everything's going up onto Figshare if you offer it, which means it's essentially published, which means that you can put it on your resume. You've got a DOI, isn't it? You've got a proper DOI. You know, like that's, I've not seen a conference do that sort of thing before, so that's really cool. So that's us. And I've talked enough about NLS8, now he's going to talk about committees.
I'm Stephen, and I'm going to have to really rush through this, so forgive me if I talk really fast.
Talk too much.
Yes, thank you. So I'm involved in both Health Libraries Inc., which is a health and medical librarians group, and NLS8, so obviously. And I was previously involved with ALIAVic, what feels like a million years ago, but it was 2014. This is mostly going to be me trying to rope you into joining committees and getting involved. But the catch is I'm someone who's actually on a mission to disentangle myself from Sounds like a contradiction, and it probably is, and maybe I'm a bit of a hypocrite, okay? But I hope that this will make some sense as I talk about my experiences with committees. And I'm going to try to be as honest as I can and show you the pros and cons. One really cool thing is you get experience that you can't get in your day job and your study. And the hardest part of getting your first job or changing sector or getting a new job is that whole, we were looking for a bit more experience in X, Y, Z. But that's where you can use committees to choose where you want to build your experience and do things that build your experience in those areas. Because there's more scope to do things like event and conference management, marketing, liaising with vendors, etc. I got involved in HLI and became a journal editor of Health Inform, which is the publication of Health Libraries Inc. And that taught me a lot of things. It taught me content management, destroying nature of back-end systems, open access politics in publishing, the art of editing really, really long-winded prose, which librarians are the worst at, which in turn challenged me to, write concisely, hopefully. And so that really gave a bit of a bird's eye view of the
I'm losing you on the live feed.
gave me a bird's eye view of the industry, because in our daily jobs we only get a tiny snapshot of the library and information field. Another thing is you end up communicating with a whole range of different personalities. Sometimes different personalities, sometimes opposite personalities. That can be really challenging. Part of that is learning to be accepting of that, being okay with personalities that may even conflict with you, but seeing that as a part of the world and grappling with that. And also empathy, understanding that, understanding why people behave differently from you, and maybe you think, okay, you might, for example, think someone is brash or aggressive or blunt, but in working with them you actually start to see the virtues of their character, that they're really efficient, they're really clear, much more than you are, and that sort of thing. And it's good practice because that's going to happen one day anyway, right? So may as well confront it when you're in a safe space for experimentation. And that relates to, being in a place where you can push yourself outside your comfort zone. And yeah, the two things which I've just mentioned should, if you do things right, make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and I think that's the best place where you actually learn the most. It's an opportunity to, as well, to learn, which is F, and then learn, which means learning through failure. And yeah, committees are a real kind of safe sandbox to experiment and feel more comfortable with making mistakes than you would with your day-to-day paid job. There's a lot of hidden industry knowledge in librarianship, and a lot of the key lessons that I've learned have been things that are rarely or never stated in public. Things like where you don't want to work, the truth behind buzzwords and corporate mission statements. For example, when you're told that the 65-year-old librarian is going to retire soon and there's going to be a mushrooming of 1 million jobs, maybe there's a bit more to that story, and you learn what's embellishment, what's real. And by being on a committee, you're privy to conversations you wouldn't be exposed to otherwise. I'm not saying all committee business is secret business, but some of it is, a lot of it is. And you also discover your hidden talents too that you weren't aware of before. Now, you will often hear this cliche, say yes to everything. I want you to actually be a little bit more skeptical of that, because it's true in some cases and in some it's actually dangerous. Because I find myself overcommitted as a result of that. You can easily end up with armfuls of committee work on top of your day job and your life as well. You need space to think, you need space to live your life. So be strategic about how you invest your time and choose carefully. My current mission, after talking to my mentor from Monash Uni, is actually to create an exit plan and stick to it. So yeah, try not to get stuck into this situation where you need that. So that said, there's a huge benefit to just jumping onto committees and going with the flow. When I ask experienced people in this industry what advice they give, they often say their career is a haphazard, unexpected journey, and yeah, part of that randomness is just part and parcel of the career. But it depends on your personality. If you're like me and you're perennially overly involved, then the challenge is to step back and have a strategy, assess what you're already doing, ask yourself why you're getting involved in this committee, not just out of a vague enthusiasm. Is this committee the right fit for you? How broad or specialised is it for your particular interests and goals? Yeah. So far I've mostly talked about individual or career reasons to get involved, but I think there's also the more altruistic thing. I mean, we are so ultimately one of the most rewarding aspects of being involved in committees is, building that community. There's always someone else out there who's facing the same challenges and looking for the same solutions that you are. So, and also if you don't build it, no one else will. So I guess part of living those values is giving back to the profession and being involved. Now, Arlene's stats, while you're gesticulating at me, which one's pretty hard. Next slide. Okay, this seems to be a theme. Basically, if I haven't convinced you with those other arguments, maybe cake. Committee meetings, there's a lot of food to take home, and some of it is cakes. And that's about it. Look, there's a lot to say and a lot to ask, so feel free to come up to us afterwards, tweet us, email us, whatever you want. Thank you.
Very much. Our next speaker is Carla, who's, I think, you're summarising a couple of the talks that you're going to take. Excellent.
Hello, my name's Carla. I was a volunteer at the conference. As the conference theme was DIY, I thought I'd do a wrap-up of two of the presentations I saw while I was volunteering and doing microphone running and things like that, that were specifically about DIY things relating to your career. Slide, please. So the first was by Adele Walsh. So this was Target Visibility or How to Shine a Light on What to Do. Adele is the program coordinator for the Centre for Youth Literature, the State Library of Victoria. She did a great presentation more about how you can improve different things about or get started in your career or in a new career area. So some of the points were be heard and be seen. So if you have take any opportunity at your workplace to ask questions, organise things for. Sorry, I completely lost my train. For example, when you have team meetings at work, volunteers present about things that people ask for help, offer help. If you hear about an exciting presentation, maybe email that person and say, can I hear a bit more about it, things like that. But also you could organise things that might be of interest to you, like the Indigenous Literacy Foundation is about to have their book swap fundraiser. You could say, could we do this, and then you can present to the group about that. So it's opportunities for you to be seen and be heard within your organisation. And some key points were make sure that you email people to thank them when they've helped you, or email people and say, good job when they've done a really good job, or if you see someone you think has been working really hard on something and might need some help, maybe say, I see this as a really big job, do you need some help? So be knowledgeable. There are the things we hear about all the time, reading blogs, reading journal articles and things like that. But a few tips she was saying were, if you hear about someone who's working on a really interesting project that you might want to learn more about, ask them out for a coffee and say, can I buy you a coffee and hear more about it? Or do skill swaps. So if you meet someone even at one of these events that you know works as a health librarian, for example, and you might want to know more about that and you know something about another area, maybe you can talk to them about a skill swap so that you can both learn different things. There's a whole lot of ways of learning about different parts of the industry and improving your skill set. The third one was be confident, which is why that picture was there. She had 3 points of it. One was in your stance. She was saying it's like the Wonder Woman stance. I'm not going to demonstrate it for you, unfortunately, but it was, kind of like shoulders back, chin up, that kind of thing. Project yourself as a confident person. I think I'm illustrated.
Would you like to see?
Another point was actually funny enough to wear a blazer, which I haven't done, but she was saying wearing an outfit that makes you feel comfortable and feel confident is a really good thing to do, especially if you are presenting. But also apparently research shows that wearing a blazer makes you seem more authoritative. And the last one in be confident was the rule of 3. So apparently if you present 3 things together, people are more likely to remember it. So hence 3 things. So my next one was DIY Marketing for Libraries by Jade Coco. So this was a very practical session. It was one of the 2-hour sessions. Jade's in her final year a freelance graphic designer. So she had a lot of great design tips about marketing strategies and design principles, but then showed us a few free software things that you can use, Canva, Wrapup and Git. And she's also got great resources on her website, how-to guides for all of those, different links for where you can find copyright-free images, different things like that. So that was a great session where everyone was pretty much able to design a few different items. Canva in particular we play with, where you can choose, do you want it to be a big poster, do you want it to be a little thing you're going to have on your website. Canva pretty much does it all for you. You just have to drop in the images and the text, and it was a really great session. So they were both very practical presentations. Both I think are available on the FitShare, and I've also put, sorry, the next slide. I've got where their websites are, things like that. Adele also does a podcast, a young lady like podcast, which is worth a listen, if anyone's interested. And they're great book swap. If anyone wanted to follow that one up as an idea for presenting at a meeting or something like that. And yes, that's me.
And what's your Twitter handle, Carla?
It's MIM_Carla.
Anyone get that?
I think that's on the other, sorry, I'm presenting again.
If you're following on Twitter, if you go on the NLS8 hashtag, Carla has done a few tweets, so you can sneaky follower that way.
Casually exit the...
Next two presenters, sorry. One live person who's watching. Katie and Eva, they're talking about
Oscar chat, just my friend. Come on up.
oh, come on, Jess.
Yeah, is it live? Absolutely. Come in, let's go for the camera.
Okay. Okay, so I wasn't actually at NLS8, so Kate was very kind to say, come along today and pretend like you were there. So, yes, today I'm stepping in for James, who actually presented at NLS8, and Kate was there. This is our last slide. Oh, you're right.
That explains what.
There you go. Yeah. So, yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Oscar chat and personal branding. So, go to the slide, please. Once it's the same, so go to the images.
It just likes to think.
Okay, that's cool, I'll start. So, as early as 2009, when Twitter was barely 3 years old, its benefits for librarians were being documented. So, librarians worked out pretty quickly, because we're a savvy bunch, about how we could use it as a cost-effective way to attend conferences, as a potential way to showcase how we interact with our communities and to provide research assistance. So, and it became clear that within a pretty short period of time, librarians were already really active on Twitter. So, why tweet? So, in addition, it's often actively promoted as a successful way to connect within our industry. So, as I said, through conferences and hashtags, networking with people you might never meet otherwise, and as its technology continues to impact upon librarianship to discover new approaches or emerging technologies. That was a good thing for me as well personally, because I'd never really used Twitter or social media until I actually joined NJAC, so it's definitely forced me to do that. And it's also a great way for new graduates to expand their knowledge and contacts within the industry. So if you're going to commit time, career resources and energy to engaging with the profession online, how do you make meaningful connections? So one strategy popular in the literature is personal branding. A personal brand can summarise and concisely communicate what makes you special to the professional world. I like these photos, by the way. I think these people have their own photos. It's also an approach which identifies, clarifies and communicates Schneider in 2011 noted that for our industry in particular, personal branding for librarians is simultaneously preoccupied, perturbed and fascinated by our own image. So, what do you want to do? So before you put your entire life on Twitter or sharing your anecdotal experiences for the benefit of library land, decide what you want to make happen. So do you want to foster your professional identity, gain insights into our constantly evolving industry, engage with other professionals, maybe all of them, maybe something else? So what we hope today is that we can help you engage critically with some of these concepts. And we feel that ALIAVic is a great example and combines a lot of the positives of that last point. And so let's look at what we did and why it looks so well. So we're going to look at ALIAVic. So why did we actually start ALIAVic? I can't remember exactly. I think the conversations began a little bit before I started on NJAC. But around 2009, Twitter chats with an educational focus started appearing. And people in the library world took notice of this, and in the library sector as well, especially in the UK and the US. And the first UK live chat was actually in July 2011, and by 2015, Twitter chats have become a very popular platform in the library sector, but with very variable versions, but nothing really specifically for librarians in the Australian region. So as we identified, there wasn't really anything available yet that was regular or consistent like the UK model. We thought it would be a great opportunity to develop a structured open discourse that reached the whole sector, didn't involve having to pay a paywall. It wasn't an exclusive environment. So we realised this is something that we could do. We had a bit of a discussion through our lovely phone teleconference meetings. But it wasn't until about August in 2015 that we really started to put the idea and think about it seriously. And I know we actually didn't have that many people at that meeting.
There was lots of apologies.
Yeah.
Just involved with the chatting.
Okay. So then the idea for ALIAVic was born. We wanted it to be, so we had an in-depth discussion in the meeting, and we had there was a face-to-face meeting with Sue, the ALIA CEO, and then they had a lot of support from ALIA, so we knew, okay, we got the green light to go with this idea, and we launched it in February of 2016. So concept and the way it's structured, it's open to everybody, so you don't have to be a member of ALIA to be involved, you don't even have to be in Australia, you don't even have to be a librarian really, you just have to follow the hashtag. So it's held on the first Tuesday of the month at, from 9 PM in the evening for 1 hour. Each chat, the theme is predetermined, so we come up with what we're going to talk about, and we set up the theme and the questions. So there's 5 questions each chat, and various comments, suggestions and further questions are asked by the moderator of the chat session. So the whole aim is to facilitate discussion and getting people involved. And it's good too, because as the themes change, you often get different people coming and going based on the interest in the themes. So it's been really good. It's also been a bit complex to coordinate. We hadn't done anything like this before, so it took a little while to get our to get used to it. And I think we've got a pretty good model. Yeah. So, but as it's increased, we've had to, the complexities have increased as well. But we've got yes, we've got this new setup now. So we have designated roles each month, and we have a roster. So we're pretty clear on what roles coming up each month. And some months we get a month off, which is nice too. So we don't have to be on the ALIAVic chat duties every single month. So these are the 4 roles that we have. The organiser, so they sort of lead the chat for the night and lead the discussion about how to develop the questions and post them online for the chat. They also might do a bit of research and find some articles that could get people thinking about the concepts. We have a web and graphics person that does all the designs of the images and creates all the web pages. So I usually to create and develop their own personal branding, and it also allows them to create their own online identity within this discourse of the chat. So it's good if you're not ready just to jump out and be on social media, so you can be as involved as you want to. So if we go to the next slide, this is a James slide. I'm not sure if I can really explain this totally, but I think it's kind of a way of describing how it can be seen as like a cyclic, sort of, how do I explain this? Can you help me out?
Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah, so I guess I think it all feeds in together. So you can, as an individual, you can be involved, or as us as NGEC, we can get involved, and as the engagement grows, it feeds back into itself. So it's kind of, it feels like it's always evolving and moving around, but it's always in a positive way. Okay, what does that mean? Wrap it up. Okay. So basically, what we're going to talk a bit now is a bit more about the branding and DIY brand. And Katie's going to talk into that.
I'll be quick. Alright, so just quickly on branding. Generally the advice that you get about how to develop your own brand is, pinpoint your style or aesthetic, be your authentic self, interact with brands that like your brand, and ensure that you stay on brand. We noticed that each of these pieces of advice has a theme, and we feel this raises really interesting questions about the nature of branding. So rather than presenting you with like tips and guidelines how to make your brand, we thought we would be a bit more critical and look at what some of these ideas might be in practice, and pose some questions that, if you answer them for yourself, will help guide you when you think about how you want to interact in the online space. So the first one, pinpoint your style or aesthetic. We're taking this theme of ownership, and we're looking at the way it relates to the other three themes that we've identified. So ownership plus authenticity, this gives us the idea of self-packaging. So when we talk about branding, we're talking about curating, arranging, labeling. It sort of encourages us to examine the contents of ourselves and to identify the components that are usable. In a sense, it's about reducing yourself to data points. So how does that sit with you? Are you troubled by that, or pragmatic, or unconcerned? If we look at association, we are encouraged to seize control over our image, that this is a demonstration that we're committed to our profession, that will build job security, and make sure that we stand out from the crowd. So what are you trying to achieve, and how comfortably or uncomfortably do your own personal goals sit alongside those expectations? Can participation be an enrichment of your own practice, or can it be a grudging obligation? Or can it be both, or something in between? Association. So how much control do we actually have, given that our identities exist across a number of platforms, none of which we own? It's important to realise that your brand is not the same thing as your data, but you have to show your data to go with brand. So how do you feel about that, and where do you draw the line? The next one, being your authentic self. Okay, so what is authenticity? Can't even get into that now. A few quick questions just to kind of get you started thinking about it. What does it mean to you? Why does it have so much currency? Is it an inherent quality, or is it socially constructed? How is it simulated? How do we know when it's being simulated? How do you feel when you discover that it is being simulated? Cool. So many questions. Okay. Let's think about it. So authenticity plus self-awareness gives us this idea of identity work. These are the decisions that we make about how we express who we are. But in order to seem authentic, these expressions also have to appear to be spontaneous and uncalculated and effortless. So at what point do you start modifying yourself offline to reflect the self that you created online? For instance, have you ever started mentally composing a tweet about something while you're having the experience that you're thinking of tweeting about? And how do you feel about that? Ownership. So branding will mark you as a specific individual. It's intended to convey your particular uniqueness. Do you see tension between expressing that individuality and holding on to your privacy? How do you negotiate the tension between your personal identity as an individual and your social identity as a library worker? So when you're speaking for yourself and when you're speaking for the profession, what are the allowances of that? What are the restrictions of being a librarian on social media? When you're on Twitter, it generates immediate endorphin-releasing feedback in the form of likes and retweets, and also in the form of the social capital that's represented by these things. collaboration, yeah, we're in favour of that. Do that, let's please. So, having an online professional identity is a form of self-promotion. It's also a form of performance, one in which we are both social actors and also consumers. So being online, it means that your professional identity is in fact always on, and so in a sense, you're always at work. Do you see maintaining your online professional identity as a form of labour? If yes, do you feel like you're being fairly compensated for it? Good discussion is a public discussion. How you handle participation in a debate of a contentious subject when your current co-workers or potential future employers might be participating or watching. Which parts of yourself do you feel should be included or omitted from your professional identity? Do you ever feel like it's unprofessional to talk about an important aspect of your life? Why is that the case? What can we do about it? And the last one, self-awareness, ensuring that you stay on brand. So I feel like this particular bit of advice speaks to the really performative component of being on social media. It demands a kind of consistency and self-reflection and self-monitoring. In this way, it's not too different from what we do in our libraries. You know, being professional means being professional. But yeah, when we're online, this is a persona that we assume. So what about it is different or interesting? To what extent is your professional identity online a response to the perceived expectations of your audience? And following on from that, like, to what extent is that identity even yours if you're creating it in collaboration with an audience? How do you define the boundary between being diplomatic and being self-censoring? Have you ever hesitated to enter a discussion on Twitter? Why or why not? And the last thing I'll say is, yeah, the power relations that exist offline also exist online, and sometimes on social media they are amplified. In this kind of environment, what is the value of disclosure and of visibility? And how do you know when your participation is having a negative impact on yourself or on others? And I guess, most importantly, how can you use your online professional identity and your participation in these spaces to improve access for other people and support them to participate too? So not all these questions are easy ones to answer, and as individuals, your boundaries and expectations are going to be different. We've already briefly discussed the many benefits of participating in things like Cluster Chat and library Twitter as a whole. So while some of these questions are challenging, we really encourage you to dig in and give it a go. We'd also say that if the spaces that you're looking for online don't exist, go forth and make them and totally ask us if you need help about how we manage the Cluster Chat. We started it because we wanted it to be inclusive and diverse and to make space for Australian librarians to meet, share their ideas and learn from each other. Hopefully this really brief discussion has raised some questions for you, possibly ones that we haven't asked. So do follow us on Twitter and keep the conversation going. Cheers.
Oh, librarian.
At Cyber Kitty Face.
Again, follow the tweets, you'll find them. Next is Ben Norris, who's going to talk to us about library fashion.
Obviously.
What would you like to do?
Whatever. Waterfall, meadow. No, I don't have any slides. That's alright, that's fine. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay, so I was invited to talk at NLS8, which was a bit different than giving a presentation. I did things the wrong way around. I presented at the ALIA National last year, and then through that I was asked to be on a panel for this one. And for some reason the panel I was on was library fashion, which wasn't just about how librarians are snappy dresses and really cool. It also went into how librarians in different roles dress. So, like, I'm a children's librarian in a public library, so I, dress a bit like a slob because I end up covered in, snot and all sorts of gear. Yeah. Great big hug.
Really silly.
Great! No, it's fantastic. And then we had another librarian from a research library, an academic library, and she dressed a bit more professional because that's what she was expected to in her role. She worked with professional people, and so they had a certain expected standard of dress. Then we had another librarian from State Library of Queensland, who described her style of dress as grandma toddler. And yes, it was. That was Amy. She's fantastic. And so I was just going into how basically your role can inform how you dress, but also you've got to inject a bit of your personality into it, otherwise you're just going to be a weird, awkward person all the time because you're going to be super uncomfortable. So you do have to dress for the role, but you also have to dress for you. And you can get away with a lot of stuff in the modern workplace. Like 20 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to show tattoos or piercings, you wouldn't have been able to have coloured hair, collared shirts and everything. Whereas now, you can basically, well, in my role anyway, you can almost dress how you want within reason, obviously. But yeah, but then still, like if I was working in a professional environment, I'd probably wear a polo shirt and maybe slacks instead of jeans and things like that. So you do have to dress the role, but dress for you as well. Make sure you feel comfortable and make sure you put your personality into it, otherwise you just become a weird shade of beige all over and fade into the background. And yeah, it was really cool. It was kind of weird being asked to be a speaker because I didn't have to really do anything. I just had to go to Canberra and turn up when the talk was on and sit down, and I was asked a bunch of questions which I gave answers to, and that was everything I did. So I highly, highly recommend, if you're ever asked to speak, go for it. Yeah, presenting's a lot more work. That one you've got to think about. But yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity, and I've made lots of contacts and lots of networks, and I have done it all of the conferences I've been to, and I seriously recommend doing it. You can claim it on tax, which is fantastic. It's like a free holiday to sunny Canberra. But yeah, no, it's fantastic, and you should totally do it. And yeah, if you're ever thinking of doing a presentation, we've had library fashion. I presented on games in libraries. You can just about anything you can do. If you can link it into libraries, there's going to be, just write it up and submit it in a way that sounds like it's related to what you do, and people will be interested because we're a weird, diverse bunch who dress in many diverse, weird ways, and it's fantastic. So yeah, go for it.
Volunteer experience.
Yay! Great. Kudos and Jamie before. We basically ran things for point to chat.
Guys, sorry. This way.
This way.
This way. This way. Ah, yes. Beautiful.
No, you've got your hand up. Yeah, we're on the hashtag. Thank you. Yes. So that's us. You can probably move on to the next one. We'll keep it brief. But basically, just we sort of asked a few questions about what people might want to hear about the volunteering experience. And the first one was how we got involved. And I think a few months before the conference, they put out the call for volunteers, which for me dauntingly asked for a video. They wanted a video.
So do a video.
Even that, it's like, what would I do? Do they want like a snazzy video? Do I need to like edit things? I can't do that. So that was really daunting. And in true me style, I tried to talk myself out of it. And then they delayed the deadline, which was wonderful because then it gave me time to talk myself out of it a bit more and do it at the last minute. So I submitted something. So part of that was like talking yourself into something. So I thought the worst thing they can do is say no. And they actually said yes. So that was wonderful. And I actually decided to just do it. It was daunting. So I thought, well, what can I do? I can talk, as you can tell. So just make it a conversation to Stephen and Jay, who are the volunteer committee captain people, and I just chatted to them, and that worked for me. So even if you're kind of daunted by something, put your hand up because you never know where people will lead. Preparation required. They were pretty keen on making sure we got there, so we travel and accommodation ready. And there was a bit of a video chat beforehand as well, which was nice to sort of see that there were the people from other states, and we got a bit of a clearer idea of the expectations. What we did at the event, so we got a bit of a roster about where we would be needed at different times, different
registration, so welcoming people, people that looked really confused, and I was like, wow, I can help this person because I actually know where you need to go. So that was really good because I went not knowing many people. I was self-funded, so that was helpful to having my registration paid for, being a volunteer. And it meant that I felt like I had kind of more of a reason to talk to people, if that makes sense. Like I actually had something to start a conversation on and to help people through. So that was helpful for me, being someone who was a bit nervous about my first big library conference with big library people. So yeah, what we did.
Sorry, we're laughing that you're saying big library people.
Well, you know, we were. Yeah, and the events were fairly helpful. Were very easy to be helpful at because the committee members were wonderful, the speakers were all very organised, I found, very prepared. I don't know if you had a different experience. No? All good? Yeah, maybe the next slide.
So I'm just going to talk to this slide. So yeah, for volunteering, what did we get out of it? Well, initially we got that it was free. We had to work one day and then we had the other day free and participating in workshops and stuff as well. So that was the financial kind of side of it, but it actually did a lot more for us as well. We met a great bunch of people. As Anita was saying, when you're wearing your volunteering t-shirt, it's so much easier to go up to somebody and say, hi, you need help, or hi, I saw you speak, you were great, hi. You know, even all the speakers, I know I was doing the microphone running for the head of the State Library of New South Wales. I was like, oh, hi, I'm Carla, how you good? Now he follows me on Twitter. Also following on from the Twitter one, we both said that we had done a little bit of Twitter stuff at uni and they say you have to be on it, but when you're first starting out on it, you're like, what am I even going to say? And you know, if I have to start, you can see it, you know. But that was a great opportunity. We had to tweet as part of our volunteer roles when you were assisting in the sessions. So when you're doing that, then there's a lot of other people are retweeting or tweeting about the same one. You can look at what other people are doing and you can follow those people and like those things. So you end up with this great network of people who are in a very similar position to you. You know, they're kind of early career people. They're interested in the same kind of things as you. So then when you end up with a lot of people with quite diverse interests and quite diverse library experience who are all sending out things that could be of interest to you and get interested in what you're doing as well. So that was a really great thing as well.
I just want to add to that. I'm applying for jobs at the moment, and I actually have had in one of my key selection criteria experience with live tweeting. I had no idea what that was until I asked someone. They went, "I remember how you were in the such and such session. You had to tweet while you were there. Yeah, that's live tweeting." So if you've ever done that, yeah, you can live tweet. So it's it's a skill. It's that transferable skill thing again.
And we had outcomes as well. I guess one of the outcomes is when they asked at the end if anyone would be interested in being on the committee for the next one, we both put up our hands. So we're in a similar situation at the moment where there's about 30 people or something at the moment all saying they want to do things. But it's great to get that insight and meet all those people that, you might see them up speaking on the stage wearing a blazer. And you think, wow, I could never speak to that person. But then, next time, that'll be us.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And we just wanted to have a big thank you to the organising committee because it really was a great experience for us and everything was pretty much organised. So we literally had to stand there and, well, for me, I had to stand there and hold a microphone. That was pretty much all I did for the whole day.
I felt like I was welcoming lots of people and like directing traffic in a way, which was fine.
Well,
Yeah.
there was
And
9 of
scaring
us.
me on Sunday.
Yeah.
Did I?
No, you all did.
Oh, you all did.
Remember, I was the first one through the door on Sunday morning, and all the volunteers were there.
Yes,
going,
that's right. Michael was the only person who got up on time.
and the doors to the library were shaded, so I couldn't see inside, so I didn't know you were all there.
Even that directing traffic and welcoming people, there was 9 of us and 200 people. There was no way we could be across that. Like, your roles might seem like they were insignificant, but they were vital to the actual event.
Yeah. And I felt that though, like I could see that, there was no way that things would have been logistically as smooth, possible without the help. And I really feel like it's a great way to, like I'm so glad last minute video submission to be involved because it really made it a different experience. Like we said, you know, for example, gave me this confidence to be even be up here tonight talking, you know. So yeah, it's definitely something to do. I was a bit worried there's application video. Yeah, somewhere.
Well, just keep it going. We've got to do it again. Now we've got Murray's feature. Oh yeah, absolutely. If you need to make a video, download it.
So relating back to the previous Twitter talk as well, it was much easier to tweet about a conference as well as your authentic self, if that makes sense. Whereas when you're doing it in uni, you're like, I have to do something for assessment. Or, you know, trying to participate in something like the Oslo chat. But, you know, you see, you don't know who the people are and you just, they try to make those up. More experience. Frequently you haven't since then and you're like, man, I'm still trying to type by this line. But so in that conference you did get to, because it was just your reaction to the different things, you could just have that authentic voice and kind of develop your almost your Twitter voice, I guess. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. They were our last speakers, so I want to, if everyone could just give them another huge round of applause. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and presenting for us again in your own time. It's great. Now, next we have both a diverse story time with our very own drag king, Reed Wall, over in the corner there. And then we have a tour of the library with the wonderful Marta over here.
I'll tell you a story about the advocacy and ALIAVic.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to turn off the Facebook live feed. So, but before I do, I just want everyone just to, I'm just going to hold it up here. And so
There were people here.
There were people here. See,
I
look.
think we need to give a big round of applause for Eileen for organising this.
And just a quick focus in on our drag king over here. Here we go. Pose for us. Woo! Here we go. Oh, you got a love heart.